Now it's time for me to introduce an incredible guy, someone I've known for about 20 years and I've had the pleasure of working with the past 3 years on my executive committee. He is our next AGC Georgia president. Randy Hall, president and CEO of Batson Cook Company. He guides Batson Cook's future by combining the tools of his construction craft he has gained and honed over 30 years and with the relationships he's developed over the last 15 years in a management capacity in the company. He is responsible for the firm's strategic planning, business development, pre-construction services, and construction operations. Prior to becoming president and CEO, he was the general manager of the Batson Cook West Point and Atlanta offices. Under his leadership at the West Point office, he delivered such notable projects as the National Infantry Museum, the AFLAC headquarters in Columbus, Georgia, and the Cancer Treatment Centers of America and Southeastern Regional Medical Center in Noonan, Georgia. His time as the GM with West Point in the Atlanta office also saw high-profile projects such as the Duke Energy Center in Charlotte and the Mitsubishi Power Systems in Savannah come to fruition. Among the notable projects that the firm has secured during Randy's tenure is the Sky House apartment program that includes 17 apartment towers in 6 states, the largest healthcare project in the firm's history, a 525,000 square feet expansion of the Northside Hospital, Cherokee. The Museum Tower Apartments is also in progress in Charlotte. Randy is an active member of the Downtown Atlanta Rotary Club. He is a diehard Auburn fan. He serves as an advisory member to the McWhorter School of Building Science. He is also on the Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce Board of Advisors and the Board of Trustees for the Children's Village at Christian City. All who know Randy know he's a contractor's contractor. What I valued most during my time with him is his outside-the-box thinking. He challenges tradition and he seeks knowledge. I know Randy is going to be a visionary leader, and I'm excited to support him as a director on the board during his term as president. Please join me in welcoming our new AGC Georgia president, Randy Hall.
All right. Thank you so much, Trey. Thank you, and I'll pledge to do my very best to follow in the footsteps that you have laid before me and several of you in this room, and I'm just so proud to be leading this organization. So thank you again for your leadership. And before you leave, let me say a few things about Trey. Trey is a let me see my notes here. Trey was incredible to work with this year. He's a hard worker. He's also a great leader and maybe the most loyal guy to the AGC that I know. Trey runs a very successful 3-generation contracting firm. He's a family man. He loves NASCAR. He loves his alma mater, Georgia Tech. He's one of the original young leaders in this organization. Trey dedicates a tremendous amount of time to the AGC. I can say that because I know for every meeting that he attends, he has to drive 4 hours from Fort Gaines just to be in Atlanta. So, Trey, I can't say enough good things about you. I can say this with firsthand knowledge: when Trey talks, everyone listens. And so I appreciate all that you've done for this organization this year, and thank you very much. I have a plaque for you, and I'd like to read it here. It says, AGC Georgia proudly recognizes Trey Anderson in recognition of loyal and effective leadership, President June 11th, 2016. Also have a past president's pin that I'd like to put on your lapel.
My friends, the American people are fed up with the status quo. And I don't have to tell you.
You like that over there?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. All right. All right, so let me say this too. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention his beautiful wife, Cindy. So Cindy, thanks for all that you have done. My wife, Janet, and I got to know Cindy and Trey this past year on the Washington, D.C. trip, and she's a nut, and I'm just going to tell you that my wife and Cindy have become quite good friends, and they're a lot of fun to hang out with, and I appreciate you helping Trey on this crazy ride through AGC. Thanks for all that you've done. Now, before I offer up a few comments about this coming year, I'd like to introduce you to a few of the leaders who will join me this year on the executive team. So, gentlemen, if you would stand when I call your name, remain standing until I finish, and then we'll hold our applause. Serving as vice president on the AGC board this year, Scott Clark. Scott is the president and chief, right over here, Chief Operating Officer for R.W. Allen out of Augusta, Georgia. And then in his second of a 2-year term as treasurer, Kevin Kuntz, right down here in front. Kevin is the president of the Southeast Division of McCarthy Operations, McCarthy Companies. And then serving in his first of a 2-year term as secretary, my friend Brian Daniel, who is not here tonight. I understand he's on a retreat with his superintendents. He is the president of Carroll Daniel Construction Company. So, gentlemen, thank you. Other members that are present tonight and serving with us on the 2015 and 2016 Board of Directors include, if you folks would stand also and hold your applause until the end, this is quite a list. Todd Amerman, River City Contracting, Columbus. Trey Anderson, Anderson Construction Company, Fort Gaines. Dan Baker, Duffy Southeast, Cedartown. Ben Bunyard, Choate Construction Company, Atlanta. Doug Davidson, New South Construction Company, Atlanta. Gene Fulford, West Georgia Roofing in Carrollton. Charlie Garbett, Garbett Construction Company, Dublin. Mitch Headley, Headley Construction Corporation, Noonan. Michael Heisey, Ray Lynn out of Carrollton. Jennifer Horton, Collins and Arnold Construction Company, Atlanta. Dan Kaufman, J.E. Dunn Construction, Atlanta. Mike Koenig, Holder Construction Company, Atlanta. Eric Cornegay, Brown Nelms CPA, Peachtree City. Aaron McWhorter, Sports Turf Company, Whitesburg. Brian Newsom, Albion Scatia Enterprises, Sandy Springs. Tony Pelicano, Pelicano Construction Company, Albany. Al Petrangeli, Balfour Beatty Construction, Atlanta. Danny Pinion, the Pinion Company, Savannah. Randall Redding, R.K. Redding Construction in Bremen. Chris R. Sheraton, Sheraton and Company, Macon. Rodney Smith, Parish Construction Group, Perry. Sean Stafford, Stafford Builders out of Macon. Jeff Steiner of Kojima Building and Design Group in Atlanta. David Thompson, Piedmont Construction Group in Macon. Joe Tuggle, Swafford Construction, Inc. in Austell. Kevin Watson, Bowen and Watson out of Toccoa. And finally, Kristen Williams, Penco Electrical Contractors in Morrow. Thank you all so much for helping lead our organization to the next level. Now, throughout my career, I've had the opportunity to work with different folks, and I have received a lot of support from my family and my friends and my coworkers. And I'd like to introduce some of those supporters who are here with us tonight. I'd like to start with my Batson Cook family. One of the most important and influential men in my life is Mr. Raymond Moody. Raymond's a past president and CEO of Batson Cook Construction. He's a past president of AGC Georgia. He's a past SIR Award winner, and he's a lifetime board member of the National AGC. He's my mentor. He's like a second father to me. And I'm so, so grateful that you and Miss Jackie are here tonight to celebrate this occasion. Thank you for being here. And I'm not going to go through all the names, but I'd like to recognize this next group that's all right in here, and I'll just call them the Batson Cook All-Stars. So thank you all for being here. All right. There you go. How about that, Mark? South Dakota, they got nothing on us, right? All right. Yeah, that's close. I will tell you this story today. I thought about not telling it, but since the gentleman from Tennessee, the executive director, is okay, for those that were out on the beach today, we were going to have a mullet toss. And so we didn't have the mullet toss because there was an illness that took place by the commissioner of mullet tossing, right? And so we couldn't have it. So our chief operating officer, our COO, he's always thinking, David Barksdale, he said, the bad news is we're not going to have a mullet toss. The good news is we're going to have smoked mullet at the after party tonight. Huh? Huh? Maybe not. Okay. All right, so now let me introduce some of my more immediate family. I'd like to begin with a surprise guest that's here tonight, my best friend of over 40 years now. Thank you for coming, Greg Bearden and his wife, Connie. Stand up, stand up. Okay, thank you. Yeah. I'd like to introduce some of the family members over here at this table. Brandon and Kelly Cooper, if you don't mind standing up. Brandon and Kelly, and our Kelly is not here. She's with our bright and intelligent young 20-month-old grandbaby. Thank you for being here, Brandon. The young attorney in our family is Cheryl Gracie. Cheryl, thank you for being here. The perpetual student in our group, that's Mr. Darrell Gracie. Darrell's an intern for us, and I promise you he'll be one of the best superintendents that we have one day. I promise that. You just keep up what you're doing. And my beautiful wife, Janet, the one that makes life fun every minute of every day. Thank you, baby, for being here. Tomorrow is our anniversary, as you know, and I can't think of a more romantic place than to celebrate right here with 400 of our closest contractor friends, right? All right, so let me go off script, Allison, for just a minute and say this. I love construction people. I just love construction people. At a very early age, my father worked for the Otis Elevator Company for 35 years, and so some of my fondest memories were going on job sites with my father. And I remember meeting the folks in this industry at a very early age, and I find the folks that work in this industry to be genuine and sincere and hardworking. Maybe one of the last industries that doesn't mind working very hard for a good, fair wage. And so I just can't say enough about this industry and the people that are in it. You care for people, you give more than you take. And so I come to this position with a huge amount of respect to represent you as the president of the AGC. So each year, the president has issued a challenge to its chapter board members. And tonight I would like to follow suit. My challenge has two parts, and both have to do with the industry workforce. So challenge number one. For too long now, our industry leaders, and myself included, we've talked about the looming shortfall of craft labor, or the lack of workforce development. Do you know that in Georgia, out of every 10 kids that are going to high school, only a little over 3, maybe 4 of them will go to college? That means that over 6 of them do not go to college. About half of those 6 are dropouts. They drop out of school. The other half try to work for a living at minimum wage with very little skill. And they do that for 6 or 8 years, and we know that because our technical college average age is somewhere around 26. Very few of them have been introduced to the construction industry as a viable alternative, as a good source for a career. And tonight I'd like to challenge you to get on board with the AGC Georgia's initiative to help capture the hearts and the minds of the young folks by adopting a high school, as we have done and others in this room have done, and help those teachers and counselors to tell the good story. That story is that the construction industry is a good place, it's a gratifying career, and it's financially rewarding. Now, there are some in this room that have already started down that road. Batson Cook has adopted 2 high schools, and we follow in the footsteps of R.W. Allen Scott and R.K. Redding and Holder Construction Companies and others. So if you have any questions about that, I would love to tell you more. Challenge number 2 is a work in progress. So over the next 12 months, I'll do my very best to open up a dialogue about diversity in the construction workplace, specifically establishing a path to invite and include women and minorities in our business. It's my opinion that diversity in people leads to diversity in thought, which leads to the best possible solution. Say that again. Diversity in people leads to diversity in thought, which leads to the best possible solution. And aren't we all in the problem-solving business? So I'm looking forward to hearing from our members across the state on this subject, and I'd love to see our chapter, AGC Georgia, take a leadership role in this area. Okay, so Batson Cook, our company is 101 years old this year. Over the course of those years, we've had 3 AGC chapter presidents. David Barksdale was president of the Florida chapter of AGC. Raymond Moody was president of this chapter, and before him, Mr. Cliff Glover. So I pledge to do my very best as the leader of this organization. It's important to me personally, and it's important to our company to lead with skill and integrity and responsibility. So thank you for being here. This is going to be a fun year. It's going to be a really good time. Let me say this. The band that was here before, we could have just had play for us the rest of the night. And the good news is they're going to be right across the hall. So I'd like you to join Trey and Cindy and Janet and I right directly across the hall and hear the Brent Rupert Band continue to play. Enjoy a cocktail with us. Thank you for being here. We are hereby adjourned.